We'd like to take a moment to express our appreciation for the contributions that Monty Toole, the founder of the company, has put in place since the early 1970s. There was a lot of trailblazing that occurred to initiate a new industry in the electronics business, and a number of us would like to express some of our experiences that have taken place over the years to help build GaSonics into what it is today.
Monty's an incredible guy. He's unassuming when you look at him and first talk to him. He's quiet, which is not characteristic of most of the people in our business. But I find him tough. I find him opinionated, which is exactly what we all are. But at the same time, more than willing to listen, and very, very fair man.
Well, Monty was a great one to work with in that he would let you do what you could do, and therefore you felt like you were getting to do your own thing an awful lot, and that was very important to me, always has been.
You could always count on him to be a survivor, and this is in an industry when in the 70s and 80s it was really very difficult for small companies because it was very hard to raise money and to get capital. It was very, very difficult to get big customers to give you very much support. And so the ability to have a vision and a good cost management and a perseverance was what the ones that have made it had those characteristics. And Monty's one of the very few who've been able to make it over a long period of time in this industry.
I dare say Monty is probably the only person, no, one of the few persons I know who knew all of my 3 wives. That's how far back we go.
We started the business as Atomel Products Corporation. To some extent I was influenced in that name because of the plasma, which is converting molecules into atomically active species. So we started with Atomel products, but the gas control panels, I felt Atomel was not properly descriptive, so I picked up the term GaSonics. Eventually, GaSonics overrode Atomel as a name for the company.
When I first got back with Monty, it was 2 people. I became the 3rd, but it wasn't very long before number 2 was gone, so it was just Monty and I. And I did quite a bit of private contracting with Monty while I still held a job a full-time job in other companies as an engineering production manager, because the company wasn't creating enough revenue at that time to really feed us both.
I was with the company, National Semiconductor, very small company at that time, and we bought some chemicals from a company, whoever made out the requisition, GaSonics, Atomel. I met Monty. I asked him to explain it. What is GaSonics Atomel? He tried to explain it to me, but I think you need a Gemurrish or Kopf to really understand it, and after a while I just gave up on it.
Actually, during the initial stages, Champagne formed a corporation called Myco. It was my company. Champagne also tends to be rebellious, as part of his nature, and I was successful in persuading him to sell Myco to GaSonics. So our first employees then were the employees of Myco, which included Bob Champagne and 3 others.
Monty visited me and told me that he has an idea that he would like to try on me. And since we were on friendly terms, I said, okay, is it business related or not? He said, not exactly. I said, I'll listen to you. He told me that some years ago, he had an idea regarding productivity of oxide growth in the industry. And going back to his roots, he remembered that his mother used to make chicken soup and accelerate the making of it in a pressure cooker. So his idea was to oxidize the wafers in a giant pressure cooker. Since chicken soup that his mother made was pretty good, he figured that the results would be also good for the industry.
One of the advantages of the pressure cooker is that you can accelerate the cooking of the food, and you can do it at a lower temperature. The same thing holds for semiconductors.
However, as a good idea man, he let me actually execute this high pressure, and he was not totally enamored with that. So I remember well when the time came to turn on for the first time the torpedo tube looking like machine. Then exactly at that moment, Monty and Bob Champagne decided to take a stroll in the neighborhood. And when I, with shaking hands, finally turned this thing on, hoping it wouldn't explode on me like a bomb, I can imagine that Monty and Bob were probably a mile away from the building, enjoying the sun. However, I turned it on very carefully, very slowly, and I'm here alive to tell you the stories.
At that time, and this is 1978, 79, the gas jungles accounted for probably less than $1 million in sales, and the Hypox picked up, and we grew it to about 10 million in sales. So it was a very important product in terms of the growth of the company.
There were a lot of lessons that I found I learned as I was growing up that also are part of the culture of GaSonics. And some of those that stand out are, as an example, the importance of earning your own way, and the importance of expressing that if you want something and you demonstrate that you're going to have the persistency and drive to get that something, you'll be rewarded. So taking the initiative and making it happen because you want it to happen is something I learned growing up that was a way to be rewarded, and that's something that we have as part of the culture at GaSonics.
People would work late, they would work anytime you asked them to work. They would do anything they humanly could do to be successful because they felt they were part of a family.
We'd gone through, I guess since 1971, a period of growth which led us to roughly $2–3 million in sales by the early 80s, before the introduction of the plasma equipment. The introduction of plasma brought us up to about twice that in sales, to about 20 million in the 86, 87 time frame. In 85, I was approached by an individual from IPC that was expressed interest in leaving that company and developing his own ideas in terms of plasma technology. I was pleased with his approach. His approach was to eliminate this concern for damage by eliminating the ions. So the aura, the idea of picking up the downstream effect of energized gases was very appealing. We introduced our first aura in 1986 at the Semicon show. And by 1989, we were successful with maybe 30–35% of the market in that technology, even though we were competing against well-established companies such as IPC, Matrix Science, a few other companies that had been in the business for 15–20 years. So I was successful in '89 in acquiring International Plasma. Their sales in that year were around 13 million. Between the two of us, we ended up with 27 million or 28 million in 1989.
Many people, second guessers, thought that Monty was not necessarily of the right mind in going after this company, which had been going downhill for previous years. But he had the vision and the courage to go ahead with it. And the results have been that it has been a significant factor in implementing the growth the company has seen in the last few years.
The downside of being a private company is that capital was scarce, always. And my perception of growth in the industry was that being a private company would probably limit this company's growth.
So he's more of a private individual, and so it's been an adjustment for him in which to experience being a public company. And there are a few of us that have tried to take that face to the public to let him do things behind the scenes, which he does very effectively. And so now, as his role as chairman of the company, he's helped us to have the freedom and flexibility to take it where we want to take it.
When we went public, I had made a point of making an attractive offer to all employees of stock. And we were successful in, I think, 85% of the employees of the company taking part in a stock purchase and stock option plan at the time. I think that number still holds. I think we're still running in the 80s in terms of participation. That gives me a great deal of pleasure. I mean, I think it's something that I'd always wanted to do, is to have people owning a share in their livelihood. So going public again permitted us to do that in a gracious, I think reasonably gracious fashion. The people that are here, part of the GaSonics family, that gives me pleasure. And certainly the performance of the company. And I would start with Dave. I think he's done a fantastic job of picking up.
And I think that's one of the things Monty has done so well, is to get his, I'll take a little bit of credit here for getting David trained to the point where he could come into the company and take it over and be very successful, and help David get his own crew of people so that the company today doesn't need Monty and I. I mean, he's been so successful in getting the right group of people in here that I think it's in a very good position to just continue to grow.
One thing I've always felt that no company can promise happiness to employees. We can't define it. You sure as hell can't afford it. What you can do is provide a structure or wherewithal for them to achieve what they consider to be happiness. And that's something that I think that the company has afforded.
And I think that as a company, we're a compilation of the personalities and the cultures of all the people in the company. And the seeds are planted by the founder, and Monty planted those seeds that said that what we want to do is add value for our customers. We want to be persistent. If an individual wants to succeed, they'll be given a chance to succeed, and it's up to us to take advantage of those strong roots and the strong foundation to grow the business.
I just know he will enjoy it, that he's probably going through some of the same feelings I did. Gee, what do you do after you've done this for so long? But I guarantee him that there's lots to do out there, and I feel he'll be well enjoying what he does.
I can't believe that he's retiring, because I tried retirement for about a year. Monty, it doesn't work.
Well, Monty, if you think about another idea how to accelerate some dishes, let me know, and maybe we can do it again.
And I hope that his future dreams, whatever they may be, will be fulfilled just as his past dreams have been fulfilled.
He's been talking about retiring for as long as I can remember, so I wish him success on this transition, and I know he's been spending more and more time letting the team take over the company, and I think because as his confidence has built up, he's felt more able to go, and I just wish him well.
My feelings about Monty are very strong. I think he's one of the people in the industry who haven't really gotten their due. And I'm glad to see him getting it now. I think he's getting some of the recognition that he's deserved over the years, never has asked for it. Never was around when it was handed out to get his share. So I'm glad he's doing it now.
Monty, in his contribution to the company, the founding of the company, and the development of the company, has really helped in the advancement of electronics such as computers, telecommunications, automobiles, and making those more user-friendly products. And that's something that planting those seeds in the culture of GaSonics has helped us grow to become what we are. And it's up to us as individuals to take that and to apply that and to help grow each of our potentials to make GaSonics a better place for both us and their families.